Okay, let's continue with part 4. And yeah, so let's continue adding these frames around where they should be. So I think this part here should be extended a bit because I see this is supposed to be a bit wider than how it looks here. So let's go in edit mode and make sure to select also this frame, edit mode, go to wireframe. I'll select this and then push it out, I think around there. Maybe I can also bring these, should be around here. And for the frame, let's see. Okay, so this has to come around here. And this here. Maybe make these this side as well. Okay, so we need to also give this window its own frame, but I think we need to push this inside a bit more. And let me make sure. Something like that. I'll duplicate this. So we also need to make sure that this floor has the same size as this side here. So we need to select this top part. And can now pull this for this also has to be the same, on the same level. I think we can just duplicate this like this. Make sure this is not intersecting, so I'll select this, push it right there, and select this, extend it to the edge. I will select these, Shift D, rotate them 90 degrees. Now we need these to be covered, so what we can do is select these two edges, and then bridge them like that. I think we also need to push these to the inside. I need to select I need to select this. If I hide everything, because these are intersecting and I don't want that to be, so I can select these, push that, okay, we have that. So for this window here, you can just select these, rotate 90 degrees, push. You can see it's the same. You're almost doing the same thing, just editing it a bit to get the design you want. And so for the door, we can just again get one frame here, Shift D, bring it down. So this is going to be our frame, door frame. Let me first then the door can just be, we can just select, we don't need all these loops for the door, so we can select those inside loops and start removing them. And we can select this face here and then bridge it with this face here, W bridge faces, and that will be our door. So we are about to start the texturing, but before we do that, we need to add this protrusion here, our wooden protrusion you see there. So for that, I think we need a loop here, and we can let me see, select these, and we can use this extrusion along normals. I don't know why it does that instead of making these faces straight. So let's straighten them up. So we have that. I think right now we can start working on the texturing and lighting. I think we also lack a few windows here. We need a few windows here, so maybe up to there, extrude in. Then we can select this frame here. Control L to select linked. Shift D, rotate in the Z direction 90 degrees. Can move this in the X, in the Y direction. See. So think we can have 2 frames here, so okay, so we are done with most of this, most of the modeling. We can start working on the texturing of this building now. So the first thing we can do is maybe remove these. I don't know, I don't think it's really necessary to remove these extra loops because the project right now is very light. But if you want to do that, you can go on and remove those extra edge loops that are not necessary. So let's see. Let's try aligning this camera to the same angle. Then you can come here to the camera settings, change the focal length to something like that. Let's go to the shading and start working on the texturing. We can turn on ambient occlusion. We can also bring back our 3D view here. We don't need to see the grid. And let's start with a simple UV, smart UV project. And we can start with this material here. For that, let's add a new principal piece, BSDF, and we'll navigate to my textures, 3D library, textures. Now for this text, I'll just use this and maybe change the color. So we'll get the color. Let's go to this. Problem with this, we don't have any lighting. So let's add a sun. Turn on contact shadows. Let me save this as part 3. And if you want these projects, you will find them on my Patreon account. The link will be in the description. So let's make sure that these UVs are there. UV concrete. Let's try parking islands. I think that's a good scale, so let's go back to shading. And so this is ambient occlusion. We can mix this with the color. So color mix RGB. Bring this to connect this to the bottom node. Change this to multiply. For some reason the textures are not coming through. So let's go to, let me make sure this is the only material that is assigned. I'll call this concrete. For some reason, the textures don't come through when you are in shading mode, and you can only preview them in UV editing. So if we go to this, turn on lights as well. So I'll just split this and change this to shading editor. I think these are too big, so we can scale them down a bit. No, I think it's a good scale. Let me turn off this grid as well here. Let me bring back our 3D viewport. So for this here, I don't know, this, you can see the texture has already also gone out here. I don't know this problem here, when sometimes the texture just disappears for some reason. So let's try and see if we can get that back. First close this out and okay. Okay, so when the textures are refused to come back, what I usually do, this is I think a bug, but what I usually do is just copy everything using A, then Control C to copy everything, and open a new project, delete everything, and then paste back everything. Now, if we go back, then I can save the project back again, and when we go to the shading, textures, you can see the textures now appear. But again, I think they will again disappear. But if they are disappeared, you try doing that again. Remember this, Blender 2.8 is still in development phase, so yeah, you will encounter a lot of bugs like that. You just have to find a way to work around them. So we have the ambient occlusion mixed. We can make sure to turn off ambient occlusion here. We can also add ambient occlusion, which is like this. And to make it more pronounced, we can come to the ambient occlusion settings here and increase the distance like that. And we can mix this here, like that. Now we have that. Let me bring back the image here, UV image. Let's find wood plank textures to add there. So textures, where do I have them? Let's see if I have any wood planks. No, that's concrete. Leather planks. Let's try going with this for this here. You can select this face, this, and go to materials, create a new material, assign that material. Can bring this this is ambient occlusion, so we can mix that color, mix RGB, bring these to the bottom.